What's up, everybody? It is your boy Baddog back with another New York Giants video. And I know it's been a while since I've done a Giants video because, let's be honest, there hasn't been a lot to talk about. But obviously, we had the draft last night. Now, Chris and I planned on being live for a show today, but Chris actually had to work today, so we just scratched the show. We'll be live tonight on his channel at 6:30 if you want to come by, hang out. We'll see what the Giants do in day two. And, of course, right after that, I'll be live for the second half of the Laker game. We'll see if they can close that out. But hopefully you guys and girls will come by tonight for day two of the New York Giants draft. And last night was a lot of fun. Shout out to all you guys and girls that joined the live stream. Always appreciate the great support. Unbelievable. Giants fans are unbelievable. They're awesome. I mean, they're the best fan base on here. I say it all the time. We've struggled with a lot of really terrible seasons, and the Giants fan base continued to grow on YouTube. It's easy to talk smack. It's easy to represent your team when you're good. We've seen, I'm not going to name any particular fan bases, but we know when they're good, everybody came out of the woodwork. I've been on YouTube for a long time. I've seen it with my own eyes, so I know how these fan bases work. Hint, hint. You know who I'm talking about. Let's be freaking honest. But obviously there was, last night the Giants took Deonte Banks. And, there's a lot of chatter, a lot of guys, don't want to say a lot of people, but, some people were not happy with the pick. That first round kind of went pretty crazy. No wide receivers were taken, I don't believe, until pick 20. And Christian Gonzalez fell all the way down to the Patriots. So that was a pretty interesting way. 4 tackles in the top 14, 2 running backs in the top 12. Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 was kind of a surprise. But listen, man, was Deonte Banks the correct pick for the Giants? I guess that'll be a point of contention for a lot of people. I know a lot of people wanted a wide receiver, and I get that. It is a high-flying, NFL is a high-flying game nowadays, a lot of aerial attacks, and I know the Giants don't really have a great aerial attack, which is why a lot of people are down on Daniel Jones, saying the guy only threw for 15 touchdowns. I think part of that was by design, and part of it was that we really don't have a superstar wide receiver. And I thought Joe Schoen did a good job this offseason. They re-signed Isaiah Hodgins. Obviously, he was a big part of what we did offensively. They added a Paris Campbell, who I think has a massive upside, and they brought back Darius Slayton. They brought back Sterling Shepard. They added Darren Waller, which I think is an underrated move. I think when people talk about the wide receiver position, they're forgetting that Darren Waller can catch the ball, and he's a massive weapon in the passing game. But I understand. Jordan Addison was a guy that I really liked. I would have loved to have had Jordan Addison. He's a solid wide receiver, fits the Giants scheme perfectly, and I get it. But at the end of the day, the cornerback, in my opinion, was the correct choice. Wink Martindale blitzed 42% of the time last year, the highest in the NFL. And if you're going to blitz, you need guys that can play man coverage. You need guys that are going to jam wide receivers off the line of scrimmage. You need guys that are going to shut that down so they can allow the blitz to get there. Because if they get beat and the blitz doesn't get there, you're giving up a big play. That's why the blitz is an incredibly risky play. But Wink Martindale is incredibly aggressive. And that's why a cornerback is extremely important. A cornerback, I know it's not a sexy position. A lot of guys like the wide receiver. They like the offensive players. They like the quarterback. They like the running back. I get it. I'm a defensive guy. I grew up in the 80s. I'll always be a defensive guy. But a cornerback is a super important position in today's game because of the way teams like to throw the ball. There's a reason we've seen cornerbacks in the last few years go in the top 5. Witherspoon went in the top 5 this year. We've seen a lot of... last year, 2 went. Stingley and Sauce Gardner both went in the top 5. It is a very important position. The Giants wanted Deonte Banks. That was a guy that they had their eye on. And I think we'll never know. When we were doing the draft last night, I would have liked to have seen what would have happened had Addison and Banks been there at the same time. And I know that there's some Giants fans saying, why did we trade up to 24? Why did they move up one spot? I even thought that myself. Why are you trading up to 24? Because the Jaguars aren't going to take Deonte Banks, so why are we trading up? Well, it turns out that the Dallas Cowboys were also talking to the Jacksonville Jaguars about moving up so they could get Deonte Banks. So Joe Schoen was not fooling around. I think what Joe Schoen's strategy was, and I don't know this, the receivers were falling, and then they had a run on receivers. That seems to happen. Sometimes the position gets pushed back. One team drafts them, and it kind of snowballs, and everybody starts taking that position. I think when the Vikings drafted Jordan Addison, I think that's when Joe Schoen said, okay, I'm not fooling around. I think if the Vikings would have passed an Addison or Banks, I think Schoen would have stayed put and said, okay, if Banks goes, we're going to grab Jordan Addison and vice versa. But when Addison went off the board, Joe Schoen said, I'm not screwing around. I'll give up some later picks, and I'm going to get my guy. The Giants loved Deonte Banks. That was a guy that they wanted, and they went out and got him. You can't be upset with it. I don't know what people want. The Giants took such a big step forward, and Joe Schoen, Brandon Brown, Brian Davis, these guys all had a big reason why they took that step forward. I don't know why we wouldn't believe in Joe Schoen's vision. As I said last night, if Joe Schoen had a track record of being a really bad draft, or he was here for years and we didn't approve, or we were really bad like we were under the Gettleman regime, I would get the questions. I would understand, like, oh, why did we do that? Why did we make this move? Why did we make that move? I would understand it. I would totally get that. But Joe Schoen has given us no reason to doubt him. Listen, I go way back, on YouTube to the Jerry Reese days. And when I started on YouTube way back in 2007 when I had my first channel, the motto wasn't Reese we trust, because Jerry Reese's first few years was great at the draft, finding those late round gems like an Ahmad Bradshaw, like a Brandon Jacobs, getting Steve Smith in the second round. He did a really good job. And then about 2011, I'll always go back to they should have drafted Mark Ingram, and so they took Prince Amukamara, and things kind of started to go downhill from there. They never really addressed the offensive line, and the Giants kind of fell off, and then Reese was becoming really bad at drafting at the offensive line. We all know Eric Flowers, Evan Ingram, Eli Apple, the list goes on and on and on of bad draft picks, and him spending $200 million on defense and backloading these contracts and putting the Giants in a horrible cap situation. So by the end of Reese's tenure, it became, God, I don't trust anything he's doing, but at the beginning it was good. Gettleman really never did anything well. Obviously, it turns out he was able to scout. We do have some talent that he brought in here. We got to give him credit for some of these players, obviously. But right now, Joe Schoen, I don't know how you can question. We just have to believe in his vision. He's given me no reason to doubt what he's doing. Now, I understand wide receiver is a position of need. Center is a position of need. We have the draft tonight, guys. There's no reason to think Joe Schoen might not trade up and get his guy. There was a tweet, I want to say Pat Leonard tweeted it, I'm not sure. Said, don't be surprised if Joe Schoen said, Joe Schoen has said, don't be surprised if he trades up again. Don't be surprised if he trades up to get his guy in day 2. Joe Schoen wants to be aggressive. The Giants want their guys. They'll do whatever they have to do to get their guys. So John Michael Schmitz may be there. Tippmann may be there. You don't know. I know a lot of people love Jonathan Mingo. He may be there. Marvin Mims may be there. There's no reason to think the Giants can't get a solid wide receiver here in the second round. But I don't think the Giants wanted to trade up to get a receiver. And I don't honestly think they wanted to trade up to get Deonte Banks. But I think that they felt the need to move up and make that so they got their guy. Can you imagine how Giants fans would have felt had Dallas moved up ahead of us and taken Deonte Banks? How pissed off would you have been if that happened? Okay? Joey Porter Jr. fell right out of the first round. There's a reason that his stock fell the way it did. So I can't get mad at Joe Schoen. And I understand we're never going to always agree on stuff. I mean, there is millions of Giants fans out there. So every Giants fan has their opinion on what they think is best for the team. And I completely understand that. I completely do. I get it. The football is way different than a lot of other sports. It's a massive roster. Basketball only has 12, 13 players. Baseball has 24, 25 players. So I get it. There's a lot of different positions on a football team that need to be filled. And the Giants have a lot of needs. There's no question about that. People can say we overachieved last year. I think we did. But we took a major step forward. Confidence goes a long way. We have our quarterback of the future. I truly believe Saquon will be a Giant in the future. I do believe that they will work something out with him. And again, don't be surprised if the Giants take a center and a wide receiver in this tonight, okay? I thought going into the draft, the Giants needed a center, a wide receiver, and a cornerback. It did not matter which order they got them in. But I feel like if we walk out of day 2 and we get our center and we get our wide receiver, I think Giants fans will be happy with the first 2 days of the draft. I like the Deonte Banks pick. I think he's going to be a fantastic cornerback. He's super athletic. He's strong. He's ridiculous. That guy's one of the most athletic cornerbacks to come out of the draft. Now, again, the combine only means so much. It's the underwear Olympics, as my guy Uncle Lou says, and it's fun watching these guys. The physical nature, their athletic prowess is ridiculous. I love to see these guys run 4.340s and jump 4 feet in the air and have a broad jump of 12 feet. It's insane that a human being can do what these guys do, but that doesn't necessarily translate onto the football field. A great athlete doesn't make a great football player. But I still think Deonte Banks was the correct pick. And I'm glad that they got him. I'm glad Joe Schoen did what he had to do to get his guy. That's what you want from a GM, guys and girls. That's what you want. You want your GM to have a clear vision, and you want them to do whatever it takes for them to, get that vision going. I don't really know what the words I'm looking for there, but you want them to, execute their plan. So let's give them a break. I think 90% of the Giants fans were happy with the pick, and I know that there's some that aren't. And again, it doesn't matter. If we would have taken a wide receiver, some people would have been pissed off taking a set. It doesn't matter. You're never going to satisfy everybody. But again, this is my channel. This is my video. This is my opinion, baby. I like the Deonte Banks pick. I think it's the right pick, and we'll see what they do tonight. Hopefully you guys and girls will tune in tonight on Chris's channel. I'll be live at 6:30, and hopefully we'll see you there. It's a bad diggy dizzle. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. The weekend's here, baby. I'm looking forward to it. I'm out. Peace.